Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to Supernaturalist, the podcast where we dive into the folklore, mythology, creatures, and legends behind every episode of Supernatural. Today, we're talking about one of the most action-packed and emotionally devastating episodes of Season 3, Bello. This episode has everything that makes Supernatural great. There's demons, exorcisms, impossible odds, unexpected alliances, and one ending that still shocks fans after all these years. Today's creature isn't just one monster, it's an entire army. So let's get into it. So, what exactly does Bello mean? Let's start with the title. Bello is a real Latin phrase that translates to justice of war or the laws of war. It's part of what's known as just war theory, a centuries old philosophical and legal framework that asks a very important question. Even in war, are there rules? Bello focuses on how war should be fought. It says combatants should avoid unnecessary suffering. It says to protect innocent people whenever possible and use only the force required to accomplish their objective. That is exactly the opposite of what we see in this episode. The demons don't care about rules, obviously. We'll see that repeatedly going forward. Demons don't negotiate either, and they don't distinguish between hunters, FBI agents, or innocent civilians. To them, everybody is expendable. And the title becomes almost ironic because hell has declared war, but hell doesn't play by anybody's rules. As for the trap, this episode begins with Sam and Dean chasing Bella in hopes of recovering the colt. Good luck with that. Instead, they walk directly into one of the biggest setups of the season. Victor Henriksen finally catches them because Bella, has called the authorities on Sam and Dean. For most of season 2 and part of season 3, Henriksen has believed the Winchesters are dangerous criminals for dozens of murders. He has seen the news. He thinks that Sam and Dean are responsible for all those murders, including Dean's own murder, i.e. shapeshifter. From his perspective, he's finally won. He's caught America's Most Wanted. But what he doesn't realize is that he's just arrested the only people who are capable of saving everybody in that sheriff's office. So the demons arrive. Almost immediately, everything changes. A possessed FBI official shoots Dean. The helicopter crew is slaughtered. Communications are cut, and the power goes out. And suddenly, the police station isn't a jail anymore. It's a fortress under siege. And one thing that I love about this episode is how quickly everyone's priorities change. 5 minutes earlier, Henriksen wanted to lock Sam and Dean away forever. Now, they may be his only chance of surviving the night. Demonic possession. Today's primary creature is the Crossroads era black-eyed demon. By season 3, we've learned these demons possess human hosts by entering as black smoke. And once inside, their eyes become completely black. They gain incredible strength. They're resistant to pretty much any injury, and they can move from body to body unless they're exercised. And when they are exercised, they are no longer in control. They're sent back to hell, basically. And the episode showcases just how terrifying coordinating demon possession can become. One demon is dangerous. 30 demons? That's practically an invasion. And what about exorcisms? One of the highlights of this episode is just how often we hear the exorcism ritual. The Latin rite used throughout Supernatural, not just in this episode, but going forward as well, is based on portions of the real Roman Catholic rite of exorcism, although the show shortens and adapts it for dramatic effect. But throughout history, many cultures have practiced rituals intended to drive out evil spirits. For instance, ancient Mesopotamians had elaborate cleansing ceremonies. Jewish traditions contain prayers against harmful spirits. Islam includes verses from the Quran used for spiritual protection. And Christianity developed formal exorcism rites that are still recognized today. In Supernatural, however, exorcisms happen much faster and much louder, thankfully. Otherwise, every episode would be about 40 minutes longer. Now we come to holy water and salt. This episode also reminds us of two of the Winchesters' favorite weapons, holy water and salt. Now, holy water has been used in Christianity for centuries as a symbol of purification and protection. On Supernatural, it burns demons and exposes possession instantly. Salt has an even older supernatural history. Across Europe, Asia, and in the Americas, salt has long been believed to repel evil spirits. Ancient Romans considered it sacred. Japanese traditions still use salt for purification. And many cultures sprinkle salt across doorways to prevent evil from entering. The Winchesters just modernized that tradition by pouring salt lines around buildings. And sometimes folklore survives because it makes for great television, you know? As for the devil's traps, one of Sam's most important jobs in this episode is painting devil's traps throughout the sheriff's office. Now, we see them doing that for other reasons in future episodes, and if you're a big fan like I am, you know. If you know, you know. So the devil's trap is one of Supernatural's original symbols. What inspired by ceremonial magic, protective circles, and occult sigils found throughout history, the exact design was created specifically for the series. So it's a little different than what actual sigils are for devil's traps. And inside the trap, a demon becomes imprisoned, can't get out. Outside, it's free. It's a simple concept, but one that has become one of the show's most recognizable symbols. And now for the anti-possession tattoo. We all know the tattoos on the boys' chests. This episode also reveals something fans had wondered about for 2.5 seasons. Why haven't Sam and Dean been possessed? The answer is simple. Matching anti-possession tattoos. hidden beneath their shirts on the left side of their chest, the symbol permanently protects them from demonic possession. It has become one of the most iconic tattoos in television history. In fact, thousands of Supernatural fans have gotten the same tattoo in real life. I have not done that as of yet, but I'm considering it. And it's not because they expect to fight demons, although you never know. It's mostly because it represents the Winchesters' protection on all scales and keeping the Winchesters' legacy with them now that the show is over. And now we come to Ruby's impossible choice. She arrives with what seems like the perfect solution to this demon nonsense. She has a spell that's capable of destroying every demon in the building. There's just one problem. It needs a virgin to sacrifice. Nancy volunteers, and Nancy is played by the lovely and talented Amy Garcia. You might know her from Lucifer or the George Lopez show. I love her. I adore her so much. Anyhow, Dean refuses to let Nancy sacrifice herself. It's really one of the defining moments of Dean's character. No matter how desperate things become, he refuses to sacrifice an innocent person, even though she insists. And that moral line, it really matters, especially considering everything he knows about hell. Although he doesn't quite know everything yet. Now for Victor Henriksen. This episode completely transforms him. For nearly 2 seasons, he's been chasing Sam and Dean. He's stubborn. He's confident. He is without a doubt certain that they are dangerous criminals. And then he watches a demon possess somebody right in front of him. Everything changes. Instead of becoming another enemy, Henriksen becomes an ally. And here's where he really starts to believe Sam and Dean. He becomes possessed as well. And he kills the sheriff. There's a joke in there from Dean, obviously, but you know what it is. But by the end of the episode, he even promises to fake Sam and Dean's deaths to give them a fresh start, to get away, to, start their lives fresh and continue doing what they do. It's one of the best redemption arcs in the series, which makes what happened next all the more heartbreaking. Now we come to Lilith. Lilith. Just when it seems everybody survived in the sheriff's office, Lilith arrives. She appears as a little girl, which somehow makes her even more terrifying. Lilith has absolutely no interest in negotiations, no speeches, no warnings. She just obliterates the entire police station, and Nancy, Henriksen, and everybody else inside gone. It's one of Supernatural's biggest reminders that victories are often temporary. But the Winchesters saved the day, only to discover later that the war has become much larger than they imagined. The people that they thought they had saved are now gone. For the creature feature, we have Lilith. And though we've heard about her before, this is our first real demonstration of her power. Unlike ordinary demons, Lilith commands entire armies. She's not an ordinary demon. She's intelligent, she's patient, she's merciless, and frighteningly powerful. And in the coming episodes, we'll see just how powerful she is. Her appearance as a child draws from one of horror's oldest storytelling techniques, innocence masking unimaginable evil. And across folklore and literature, evil is usually disguised as itself as something harmless, or you think it is, and Lilith uses that expectation just brilliantly. We underestimate her right before everything explodes. Now for fun facts and behind the scenes info. This episode was originally conceived as a classic siege movie, which was inspired by Assault on Precinct 13, where a small group trapped inside a building has to defend themselves against overwhelming attackers. I saw that movie years ago. I remember. The production team intentionally transformed the sheriff's office into a fortress, and they used practical barricades, broken windows, flickering lights, and narrow hallways, which was intended to make viewers feel trapped alongside the characters. The anti-possession tattoos revealed in this episode quickly became one of the most recognizable symbols in the entire Supernatural franchise. And fans all over the world have recreated them as real tattoos. And it makes them one of the most popular television inspired tattoo designs ever. And Victor Henriksen's dramatic change of heart made him an instant fan favorite. Now, in the beginning, I didn't hate him. I didn't like him, but I understood where he was coming from. He didn't have all the facts. So that made him, he was doing his job. But when he redeemed himself, it was better. A lot of viewers hoped he would become a recurring ally to the Winchesters, which made his shocking fate at the end of the episode more devastating. I would have loved to see more of him. But I guess since he had made it, the Winchesters could disappear, keeping him as a recurring character might blow that cover. I don't know. Katie Cassidy's Ruby plays an increasingly complicated role throughout season 3. Her willingness to sacrifice herself with the spell contrasts so sharp with Dean's refusal to sacrifice an innocent life, highlighting the growing philosophical divide between the Winchesters and Ruby. The final scene featuring Lilith is one of the most unforgettable endings of the season. The quiet image of a little girl standing inside the sheriff's office before unleashing unimaginable destruction perfectly captures Supernatural's ability to blend innocence with horror. Now, the thing is, we all know that they show her, this little girl, going into sheriff's office, but they don't show us anything. It's only after Ruby comes back to Sam and Dean's hotel that she tells them to turn on the TV, and the news shows that everybody in the sheriff's office is dead. So we kind of take that was Lilith, and she did some horrible things. Now for my final thoughts. For me, Justin Bello is one of the strongest episodes of season 3. It isn't just an action episode. It's kind of a turning point. Victor Henriksen finally learns the truth The Winchesters earn the trust of somebody who has spent years hunting them. Ruby's influence over Sam continues to grow. And Lilith announces that the real war has officially begun. The title asks whether there are rules in war. By the end of the episode, we have our answer. Hell does not follow rules at all. And the Winchesters are going to have to fight a very different kind of battle from here on out. And we will see just what that battle is, or battles. So stay tuned. Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Supernaturalist. If you enjoyed today's episode, I'd really appreciate it if you like, subscribe, leave a comment, and share the podcast with your fellow supernatural fans. Every like, every comment, and every share helps my channel grow, and I truly appreciate your support. I'd also love to hear from you. What did you think of Henriksen's redemption? Were you as disappointed as I was the story ended too soon? Let me know in the comments. Until next time, keep hunting the legends, keep questioning the myths, and remember, sometimes the strongest fortress isn't built with bricks. It's built with salt lines, devil's traps, and a couple of Winchester brothers willing to stand their ground. Carry on, wayward friends. Have a great day.